Hello everyone, I'm Jatin Keredia and I'm working as a technical lead at MAQ Digital India. So I'm part of data management which handles data at scale for the EdTech domain in MAQ. So today I and my friend Vikas will be taking you through the data minimization for data governance strategy in the GDPR world. Coming to the agenda for the session, so I'll first explain what is data minimization and the similar terminologies. And then I'll explain to you what are the challenges we at MIQ faced in minimizing the data at scale. And after that, I'll explain what are the challenges and how we achieved or how we tackled those challenges at MIQ in minimizing the data. So I and Vikas will cover two of the major challenges here in this talk. One of that is the hashing algorithm selection, and the second is IP to geo lookup at scale. And at the end, we will conclude like how all these activities impacted in achieving the data lake solutions which we are trying to build. So coming to the terminologies, what is data minimization? So before knowing data minimization, you need to know what is data governance or GDPR. So what is data governance? It is a framework provided by the governments to protect the customer's privacy, even when allowing the sharing of data within organizations like ours. Then what is GDPR? GDPR is the implementation of data governance rules in the UK region. So the governments in UK have given these guidelines for GDPR, which tells you majorly two things. One is that you should use only data as much as you need, not further extra data. And second thing is tells is that the data collected for one purpose, it should not be used for targeting for any other purpose without users' proper consent. And now coming to what is data minimization. So data minimization, it provides you the measures which are performed by organizations to limit the use of personal data. And that way the organizations become GDPR compliant and following the data governance rules. How we at MIQ handle the data minimization. To know that, you first need to know how we handle the data at MIQ. So I'll quickly explain how the data flows in MIQ. So we collect the data from various third-party providers, and we have some proprietary MIQ data as well. And we collect data from SFTP, AWS, S3, GCS, HTTP, all this data. And this is ingested via our microservices and kept in Amazon S3 servers. Before storing the data, we need to know if the data contains any PII data. PII is something which is personally identifiable information. It is the information in data through which you can identify a user. Something like user ID, cookie ID, device ID, even the IP address, or latitude and longitude combination also can be used as PI data. So if our data contains any PI data, as per the policy, we are supposed to minimize that data. If there is no data, we simply put that data in S3 for it to be used. But if since majority of our data is having PI data, we need to minimize it. And along with storing it for the insights or reporting purpose, we also target, being in the adtech company, we target the audience on basis of such factors, and we do that only if we have the proper consent. So for that, we need to store the raw data as well for targeting the user. I'll explain how we identified that what data needs to be minimized. In our use case, we minimize user IDs, device ID, IP addresses, and latitude and longitude. So in case of latitude longitude, we simply truncate it so that it is its accuracy is lost. But for user device ID or IP address, we need to minimize it, pseudonymize to be more specific. And what is pseudonymizing? It is applying the hashing algorithm, and before that you apply some salt string so that the reverse lookup is not at all available. Okay. So now coming to the challenges faced while minimizing the data. So one of the challenges was there were roughly 200 plus pipelines, and this 200 plus pipelines transfer 200 terabytes of data on a monthly basis. Now that is the data at scale we are talking about. Then coming to the main problem, like we know that what are the columns to minimize, but what about what hashing algorithms to choose for a particular column type? To know that, we had a comparison that I'll explain quickly in next slides. And after that, another major challenge was handling the IP to geo lookup at scale. So my friend Vikash will continue ahead, but let me first explain how and what hashing algorithms we considered. So before going into selection of hashing algo, let me quickly explain how the MIQ's data minimization flow works. So we collect the raw data, Then we apply some custom filtering to remove the null or similar data. Then we pseudonymize the data, and IP data handling is also done in the same steps. And at the end, we write the data at respective raw and the minimized location. And finally, we validate the counts of the data for accuracy. And all this is done in Kubol's big data platform in Spark Scala format. So coming to the major problem, like what is the hashing algorithm to be picked for our data? So we compared a few of the standard hashing algorithms. I'll explain one by one few of these hashing algorithms and the quick comparison like pros and cons of these. Okay. So first I picked Murmur hashing algorithm, in which it was a 64-bit hash and it was a begin to hashing. So it is beneficial if we don't want to change the data type for a given data. If it is begin and you want to keep it begin. Although there is a drawback associated that it was reversible. So there are chances that you may get same reverse of a given hashed data. So coming ahead, we take another hashing algorithm, which is MD5. So in MD5, there are obviously benefits as compared to Murmur. It is efficient in terms of time, it is irreversible, and it provides a 128-bit hash. So that way, since it is a 128-bit hash, the size of the data would slightly increase. And along with that, there is a collision possibility. Followed by that, MD5, we compared another hashing algorithm, which is SHA1. So SHA1 is another similar hashing algo in which we get to know 160-bit hash. It is also very fast and it is also irreversible, similar to MD5. And again, the cons are very much similar to MD5. It increases the size of the data, and there is also a collision detected. Although when I keep say collision detected, it was done by Google at once, and it was at the data size they handle. Coming to the next hashing algorithm in practice, which is SHA2. Since SHA2 provides a wide options of having the bits of hash from 224 to 512 bits, if you choose higher hashing bits, then the overall size would increase in terms of SHA2. Although there is a benefit of no collision detected so far in SHA2, the size would significantly increase. After comparing majority of these hashing algos, we thought to proceed with MD5 and SHA1, as these two are the hashing algorithms which are more suitable to our requirements. And what we did is we did not consider SHA2 for now, and we checked if SHA1 is suitable for large data. So coming ahead, what we did is we took 1 day of sample data of one of our feeds. Say 1 day of data is having 2.1 terabytes of the data, and what we did is we hashed the same data with MD5 and SHA1 and had a quick comparison. So before proceeding to the summary of results, let me tell you what the data is. Data was having roughly 20 billion records, and the number of columns in the data is 26. When I say number of columns, this is because this data is a CSV data and ZZip compressed data. There were two columns we were supposed to minimize. One is user ID and one is device ID in that particular data. So when we minimized the whole data on two columns with MD5, we get to know that the size increased from 2.1 terabytes to 2.32 terabytes for MD5, and it increased to roughly around 2.5 TB in case of SHA1, which is considered as 10% increase in MD5 and roughly 19% increase in case of SHA1. And that was obviously a known factor that the size would increase, and this much increase in size was still manageable by us. And another big interesting factor, we get to know that there was no collision detected at the data we handle at this volume. From that, we concluded that these are the hashing algorithms which are suitable for our requirements. Again, why do we go for two hashing algorithms? Why not one only? Why not MD5 or SHA1? The reason, we hash different PI data, as I told. So we chose MD5 to be picked for user ID and IP addresses such as smaller entities which don't have larger length in the volume. And for the device IDs, which are usually higher in range, we went for SHA1 minimizing. So that way, we considered that these are the two hashing algorithms which are suitable for our use cases. I would quickly hand over to my friend Bikash for the next set of problems, so that which is IP to geo lookup.
Hello everyone, I'm Bikash. I work as a technical lead in MI. I come with an expertise in working in programmatic media buying space for EdTech domain, where I am primarily building highly scalable data pipelines responsible for optimizing data stores and building data solutions from ground up. I've been performing root cause analysis for all of these pipelines and providing these solutions in a cost-effective approach. So thanks, Jatin, for giving some great insights into the hashing algorithms that we have used. So I'll be quickly talking about another major challenge that we had in this entire process of data minimization. So IP addresses. So IP addresses are considered to be a great attribute when it comes to identifying any individual, as a result of which IP addresses are considered to be a private information and complying to the GDPR laws. IP addresses cannot be stored in a raw format, and result of which we need to find out for other alternatives by which to store these IP addresses, but not in raw format, but finding an alternative to convert it into a kind of a masked format where with the help of different hashing algorithms, we are able to mask the IP addresses. So the algorithms that we tried to go ahead was MD5 algorithms, which was used for basically minimizing the IP addresses. So if you consider the left-hand side of the diagram, so there are various data sources that we work with. So these data sources comes from third party, and they dump it into our S3 data lake in a raw format. From there, where we pick it up and we kind of like join with a lookup data set. So that lookup data set contains information. For example, that lookup dataset has a range of IP addresses, and all those range of IP addresses have other informations like which city do they belong to, what is the region for that, the region name, the country that those addresses belong to. So whatever the IP addresses that we are getting from our third parties, we kind of need to match it with the postcode information so that we are able to associate IP address with the relevant postcode information. So the problem that majorly happens here is that we need to find out the appropriate range into which an IP address is falling into. So if you see the left hand side of the diagram, in the join operation that we are doing, so the right join, the right hand side of the dataset has a kind of a IP start and an IP end address. So that's kind of a range join. So this is typically an example of inequality join. So whenever we need to look up for a given IP across a range, we need to do the a particular inequality, like a given IP is greater than equal to an IP start and it is less than equal to IP end. So that is typically an example of an inequality join operations, which is highly unoptimized operation when it comes to Spark. So all of these pipelines we are writing in Keyboard Data Platform, and we are using Spark clusters for writing these pipelines. As of which, when we when we went ahead with joining these two datasets using inequality join, our pipelines were taking very long time to complete. They were even taking around greater than 12 hours, and they were failing at the end. So what is the solution that we came forward with? So we tried to introduce strategies by which we were able to convert our inequality join into a more optimized join, which is called sort merge join in Spark. So how did we do this? So first what we did is that we collected all the IP start addresses from the lookup dataset, and using broadcast function, we kind of broadcasted it in Spark. After this, we traversed for all the records or all the IP addresses that we are getting from third party, and using each IP addresses, we did a binary search, and by which we were able to find the exact that the particular IP address was falling into. And now having done this, finally at the end when it was dumped, it was using MD5 algorithms, all the IP addresses were hashed, and at the end we were able to generate a dataset by which all the IP addresses were matched with the postcode information, as well as the IP addresses were in a masked format and not in raw format. So what is the core logic that was taking place for converting the inequality join to a sort merge? In the code that you see, there is a piece of code where it states that we collected all the IP start addresses from the lookup dataset and kind of broadcasted it. to all the workers part. Then we iterated through all the raw IP addresses and kind of find out the appropriate IP range through which we were able to find out that a given IP address is falling into this particular range. And in order to do this, we took the help of a binary search library that comes in Python. It's pre-built, which basically expects input parameter of IP addresses and a range of other IP addresses. And the result of is that it's able to identify that a particular IP address is falling into a given range or not. And as a result of which we were able to complete this pipeline, and our pipeline started executed in optimized way. And it took around like an hour to ingest around like 10 terabytes of data and perform the lookup operation on the fly. So what are impact of all these things that we have done so far? So the impact is that we have now been able to kind of restrict the usage of raw data owing to the GDPR conventions, and as a result of which all the insights and the data pipelines that we have are currently consuming the minimized data for now. Also, during this process of minimizations, we were able to convert all the minimized data into a Parquet format as well. And we were able to give all our analysts and our stakeholders a more optimized data format. And this was happening all on the fly in the process of minimization. We were able to scale our IP to geo lookups into a format where any data source or any third-party data source can be easily plugged into, and without hampering the existing performance of the pipeline. And as a result of which, we were able to integrate a uniform flow for minimization complying to the GDPR laws. Thank you.